Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Youngest. Boom.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the On-Chain Hour, and right now we got Bitcoin dumping. So we have liquidations of $571 million. It does feel like the entire market wants to go down. It does feel very bearish, but I'm going to tell you why I'm actually bullish on this happening today. I'm bullish on the liquidations. I'm really bullish on the fact that we're going to go down and potentially touch our liquidation prices from October 10th or October 11th, depending where you were in the world. So right now the Fed is doing injections into the banking system, which makes me think that the banking system's in trouble. Normally when the banking system is in trouble, we turn the money printer on. If the money printer's going, if they're giving the Fed's giving companies $29 billion. I mean, that's not a small amount. $29 billion over the weekend, right? Low liquidity zone weekend. Something needed to be fixed. We're going to dive deep into that. Huge news with Animoca. They're planning to go live on the stock market. They're going to be going in as a stock. I'm actually really bullish on that. You got to remember, they are one of the leaders in the metaverse with Sandbox and whatever they're building over there. And then on top of that, we did have a huge hack this morning. Berachain basically said, hey, we're going to hard fork because Bouncer got hacked. So Bouncer is a V2. Bouncer is really cool. Well, I guess at this point was a really cool way to swap pairs. You're able to do liquidity pools with like 6 or 7 different tokens. They changed the game with that. They're one of the old school DeFi projects, but they were hacked this morning, and all the V2s were kind of hit hard. Berachain had a V2 over there, and there was so much money for Berachain. They're like, hey, let's roll this back. Let's do what Ethereum did, right? And potentially hard forking the chain. I don't know what's happening, but it's not looking great. Crypto right now, with DeFi being its strongest sector, and that's getting kind of smacked in the face right now, kind of shows you why Ethereum's down 8% today, and we could probably go lower. Again, I do think, heading down a little further is okay, because I am very bullish on what's going to happen in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, this year is almost over. This is Q4. I can't see us ending without a Santa Claus rally. And honestly, even if we do, I think that's so bullish for next year. I don't want it to be that way, but January and February next year are going to be very, very bullish for a lot of different reasons. The main reason is Jerome Powell kind of getting kicked out of his seat there. He'll be resigning, or his term is up, whatever you want to call it. And we got a new Fed chairman in May, so that could be even more bullish as well. Liquidity actually adding to the money printer, so that should be actually pretty amazing. But we have an amazing show for you guys today. We have a lot to go over, so without further ado, bring on my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up,
man? So we're seeing $500 million of liquidations already today. We're seeing DeFi platforms hacked. How are you feeling about the market right now? It's not easy to be in crypto, for sure.
Not at all, right? It's very scary at the moment, at least. I mean, I don't think anybody pictured us to be sitting in this position, right? With Bitcoin just really bleeding out on November 2nd, 3rd. On third, today's really the first day of November, though. If you think about the markets, right? Because over the weekend is whenever we switched over. So today's kind of like hopefully the bloody day that we kind of get out of the way. But let's see how far it goes down, right? Because I mean, as of right now, it looks like it's still wanting to bleed down. And you know, with this other news with the balancer hack and exploit, I feel like there's a lot of things that are happening simultaneously, right? Like with this bleed out. So is it something that is being planned? I don't know. I don't think people plan that hack necessarily, but you know, it seems like market makers have looked for opportunities to bleed out whenever they can, to be you know, a little bit more aggressive on the bleed out, and maybe they pick that. With that being said, it is the first true market trading day of the month, so let's see how the rest of this week goes. Not a great start to the week, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, am I crazy though for feeling that this is bullish? I don't know. I feel like a dip down here, kind of liquidating all the longs before they take it higher the rest of the week. I think is very bullish. As long as we don't cross 100K, I'm really bullish on November. Am I crazy for thinking this way?
I think some people might think you are, just because we're in the heat of the moment right now.
Yeah.
But if you guys know from previous cycles, I mean, when Bitcoin does go down, or alts when they are thriving, Bitcoin comes down to sell down into, you know, Ethereum and some of these alts. But right now, everything is getting hit at the same time for the most part. There's a couple coins again that are sticking out a little bit here, but maybe it's the flush before the push up. I'm not sure. I mean, you know, I think we got to get some more time and see. First of all, let's see where this finds a floor at, right? Because right now it's still searching. It still seems like it's kind of sniffing and searching around to see where it wants to go. The indicators are obviously just going to be really exaggerated right now because, you know, it is a stiff sell down. You're talking about going from, you know, 109 to 105, 500 right now. And then where do we kind of find that floor? Where do we find our footing here? And that's going to be a very important, I think, price range, right? Where we find our flooring, and then also our footing, I should say. And then, you know, where do we go from there? So right now we're just kind of in the heat of the moment. I think it's optimistic to have that mindset, flush out before you push up, but man, this one's a little bit just very shock and awe right now.
Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. I was actually kind of expecting this over the weekend, honestly. I was kind of sitting there. I was like, they're going to take this down. They're going to take this down. I got out of a couple of positions that I was in as well. I was mainly sitting in Bitcoin and some other stuff. So, and some ETH. So I'm just kind of waiting for the market to kind of settle down. But I do think this is a bottom. I'm looking here at Sonic, right? Sonic is at 12 cents. Sonic is building something insane, fast-paced chain with Currenc building, you know, his flying tulip. I just this is, to me, it's just like, wow, if this isn't the bottom, then I think crypto is done. I just you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where all the momentum, there's no momentum in the markets. There's no reason to buy anything in the markets, and that usually means there's a bottom. That's how I feel now. It's kind of how I felt after FTX went down, right? After when FTX went down, I felt this way. I felt like how possibly can we make it out of here? And, you know, we end up being the bottom, and I kind of feel that same way right now.
Yeah, hopefully that's, you know, this is the bottom and we start to track back up, but and until I start to see some footing being found here, you know, we're still searching is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not as aggressive, but it's still searching for sure.
Let's get into today's show here. So the Fed injects 29 billion in the banks, risk on mode activated. What this could mean for crypto. So we had a post here from the OnChain Revolution account, kind of breaking everything down for you. But the Fed injects 29 billion, the largest since 2020. Banks' reserve have dropped to 2.8 trillion. Think about that for a second. The banks are at a 4-year low of actually how much reserve they're holding. Remember, the banks only need to hold 10% of their money they're lending out. So for the fact that's getting lower and lower every day, it's a little scary. Liquidity stress is clearly rising again. Not a bank bailout, but it's definitely a quiet money printer moment. We've seen this multiple times now where the Fed had come in and kind of do these quiet injections without telling anyone, without rattling the market. But this is something that hit all headlines over the weekend because it was done on a weekend. The Fed usually doesn't do weekend deposit. The first one since I think like almost like 2008 where they actually injected on a weekend. So what do you think about this? Do you feel like this is something that's going to continue? One-off moment from Jerome Powell and his team here.
I mean, I think unless the market turns around, right? Like in terms of, them also, like how do the banks make their money? Right? They make their money through interest payments and lending out, but they consistently like put interest payments back into their the balance books and stuff like that. And so this to me, I feel like is definitely a worrisome moment, right? But like you did say, they did quietly inject money into the banking system. I think early this year, maybe late last year as well, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, it's raising eyebrows, right? And so what happens with assets? Which assets are going to get liquidated right now in terms of investors being fearful? It looks like Bitcoin's part of that. Gold probably some too, and I don't know. But at the end of the day, if they're going to try to fix this, then they're going to continually try to like print money and get the economy going. That's I think one of the biggest problems right now. So we'll see how he reacts to this. If this is a continued thing or if they just kind of look at this as like, okay, we'll put the Band-Aid on this for now and it should recover. The banking system should recover here in the next couple of months.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the big reasons why, the bank reserves are at 2.8 trillion instead of the 3.8 trillion they were not long ago is because, look, it seems like, over $1 trillion was taken out of banks to buy gold when gold was soaring. So they're saying gold is a big reason why people are, they're actually taking money out. They're actually buying gold with their debit cards, with their cash, and they're just hodling the gold instead of keeping their money inside the bank. They're actually taking out, they're getting real pieces of gold from whether it's Costco or this place and that place, or and they're not actually doing it on the stock market. They're actually doing it with actual real gold. So people are getting really scared, potential of crash right now. So it's crazy to me.
Well, and this also might be a strategy to scare people into selling their assets back into their cash as well. But I don't know, because I don't think the everyday person thinks that deeply into, okay, what does this actually mean, right? Does this mean that like, oh, people are spending all their money on Bitcoin and gold?
It's not Bitcoin. It's
gold. Let's say gold. And I mean, but gold's been selling down the past couple of weeks, right? So week and a half or whatever. But they don't want to put back in cash I just don't know how the public's going to react to this. Maybe they don't react at all, and the Fed's just kind of reacting to the outflow of cash going into gold and whatever else they're going into, whether that's like safe S&P or whatever they feel like, right? So we're kind of in the situation now, how does the Fed continually react? To after they inject this 29 billion, and is this just like a scare tactic for the markets right now too? There's a lot of things that could be happening right now.
Well, I don't think it's a scare tactic at all. I think the Fed doesn't want this to happen. The Fed doesn't want you to know that this happened, right? So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they leaked it on purpose. We'll see. But a couple of comments here. I just want to get to one. My guy Glasshoppers has been sick with diverticulitis. What is this? Diverticulitis?
Yeah,
but I'm back.
I haven't heard of that one.
I'm glad you're back, bro. I never heard of that disease, or if it is a disease, but I hope you're feeling better, bro. And I hope you are 100% soon. But thank you for watching our show out of all the shows you could be watching right now. Hydra Sapien says we have too many bad actors, manipulation, rampant trad. Yeah, I agree, Hydro, man. It's definitely tough, but I feel like all that stuff comes out when we are at our lows, right? No one talks about manipulation or anything when crypto is going up, even though there is insane amount of manipulation when it goes up and when it goes down. But I 100% get you. And myself says I say bounces off the 50 EMA on the weekly like we did in March. I would love to see that when you do your charts later. That sounds really interesting. Bouncing off there. He said surgery will take care of it. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I hope everything goes well. If there's anything you need from us, let us know. We can shout you out, whatever you need, man. Appreciate you, my friend. All right, let's kind of any last words on this Fed injection before we move on?
Yeah, I think people are trying to figure out if this is a good thing or a bad thing, right? Obviously, it sounds at face value, the first time it sounds horrible. But then it's like, okay, so is the Fed going to come in and save the day and try to, stimulate the economy? I think that's what people are going to be looking for. But as of right now, I think most people look at it as a bad thing.
Yeah. We are seeing the world M2 money supply. A big reason is because we just printed, another couple $30 billion, whatever it is, 21 billion. So you are seeing this all-time high now, the M2 money supply. So, we're still going up, after all this time. I mean, we're talking, over the last, this is just a ladder up here in 2025, just straight up. So this is 2025 right here. It's just been, we haven't really seen anything like that. You can maybe compare it to here, but not this steep of a climb. All right, let's kind of get into the next thing here. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments this week on whether Donald Trump had the legal authority to impose large-scale tariffs using International Emergency Economic Powers Act, known as IEEPA. So we're going to get a ruling this week. They're saying Wednesday or Thursday. They're going to hear arguments from both sides, and potentially we're going to know if these tariffs that we've been collecting are going to get refunded or they're going to be held. So right now, Trump's not using any of the tariff money for anything because he was a little worried about this. But do you think this is something that could set the markets up? Let's just say the judges come in and say, hey, Trump's not allowed to do this. This is not what this is. This emergency power is being used the correct way. Money needs to be refunded. What do you think about that?
Ooh, so I think it could go two ways. I think if it does come out that way, then there could be this positive reaction to the market saying, okay, like there's going to be an excess amount of money for these companies that had to pay the tariffs, and that money could flow back into the world economy, whichever way it does. Or two, if he does, if it says, okay, whatever he did stands and he can continue, that could also push the markets up because now they can choose what to do with the tariff money, right? And if that means like try to spur the U.S. economy, then that would be a good thing as well. But then obviously you have the situation so that it can really scare the economy as well, right? So, but those are the two positives that I see that could happen from this. The negatives, I just don't know how much more negative we could get really on some of these asset classes, right? Out of all of these sectors, it seems like the stock market is the one that's like continuously like being okay with the top, share stocks. Obviously, like after you get out of the blue chip stocks and the indexes and stuff, then it is harder. But out of all the markets, it seems like stock market's the one that's doing the best in terms of sustaining. And then whenever something's good, sounds good, then like they actually hit all-time highs. And so, but it's the rest of the markets that I think need to have some relief here. So I think this is going to be an important decision that comes out of this. And so we'll see what happens out of this. Hopefully he does have one of those two positive reactions though.
Yeah, 100%. And Arita actually has a comment here. He said the Fed's reserve additions were due to unusually large reserve drains from tariffs. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Do you think?
What's that next part of that comment? It says forward / U
Yeah, I don't know what that
002 shut down.
Something got shut down because of tariffs. Yeah.
Oh, maybe saying the tariff like was on pause or something. I'm not sure.
Makes sense. Well, yeah, that could be it. Fed Governor Waller says he expects the rate cut in December, and Fed Governor Stephen Moran, he said that he will advocate for another 50 basis points cut in December. So these are two guys that are trying to get Jerome Powell's job in May, Governor Waller and Governor Moran. Governor Moran was recently put in by Trump recently, and he's, his chances aren't as high as Waller's, but he could be someone sitting next to Waller in the future. But this is two really big things, in my opinion, that could really push, next year to absolutely be insane. But if we get a rate cut in December, I mean, I think that, I can't imagine that we're not bullish going into next year. I mean, we'll have the lowest rates since, 2021.
Yeah, and I'm hearing from multiple different accounts on my feed that people are saying that this seems to be like an extended cycle type of situation just due to the economic and political kind of fiascos that's been happening this entire year. So it's being stretched out to next year, right? And so that makes sense if that happens, right? If it does, I mean, that would be the only positive outcome of this whole situation, other than like a small Santa rally or whatever, right? If we get that, then great. But it's more of what's going to happen in 2026, and hopefully we can move past a lot of this. Like this is probably the most like first year of uncertainty that we've had, probably comparable to 2017. But you know, that's still, you know, once you get past that, I think it's like so much better. You can breathe a bit more. So hopefully we can get past all of that uncertainty sooner than later.
Yeah. Rita also says, you know, tariffs are draining 40 billion per month right now, and plus government shutdown prevents routine. I didn't even think about that. The government shutdown could be a reason why they had to inject so much over the weekend, right? Because the government's shut down, so the Fed has to do it themselves instead of you know, potentially smaller. So yeah, I think Rita is right there. My stuff says Raul Paul explains how we're experiencing elongated cycle pretty well. I'll have to look into that. I did see he posted a new video. I'm not sure what an elongated cycle is, but I'll have to look into that.
Extended.
For sure.
Extended is what it means, like more, like longer than your typical, right? But
Gotcha.
Raul Paul, I mean, yeah, I think he's obviously, you know, experienced in our space, but he did call for banana zone like 3 times this year, right? He's like, we're gonna get to the banana zone, we're gonna get to the banana zone. So I think it's just really the only logical explanation of what's possibly happening in the cycle, or how it's going to continually play out. So it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, Rand did a video with the Benjamin Cohen, someone who's been writing about this entire cycle, and he said this cycle reminds him more of 2019, or this year reminds him more of 2019 than any year. He was basically saying that, you know, next year, with the Fed coming in and be cutting rates in March and May, next year could actually be look like 2020, and 2027 could actually be the bull market year when it comes to low monetary policy and stuff like that. So he's actually saying that this year reminds him of 2019 more than any other year.
There's so many different things that are happening this cycle, I feel like, and it's, I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to correlate to the historical experiences they've had. I'm a big person that does that a lot, right? And I'm realizing that like you can't do that at this point in this cycle.
But he's talking about monetary policy. He's not going on feeling, emotion. He's just saying the monetary policy is exactly how it was in 2019.
I mean, you're talking about having 3 years into Trump's administration, the first term. I feel like at you know, at that point we were very like, you know, embedded into like his outlook and or like his policies and stuff like that, you know. So I mean, I guess sure, if you want to make it make sense, you know what I mean?
Well, he said that Trump started tariffs in 2019, the same he did in 2025. He said the monetary policy was tightening up until July. And when the tightening stopped, that is kind of when crypto kind of died out a little bit before a push up going into January. And we all know what happened in March, the dump. So he's just referring into, as monetary policy looks, stocks were at an all-time high. Everything was very correlated to basically how we are today. And it's really good video.
I mean, you know, from that argument standpoint, you know, he didn't boast about the crypto industry at all, because he actually didn't really like it then. So he did boast more about, you know, the stocks and stuff. I remember that. I wasn't in obviously day to day like we are right now into macro and stuff, so I don't remember that part of like correlating it to Bitcoin and all that stuff. But I mean, sure, I mean that can make sense. I'm just trying to correlate what I remember, and it wasn't as crazy. Just yet, maybe it was, because I think maybe some of the George Floyd stuff started happening then. I can't remember when those years were. It's like a blur. Okay, so it was like July, a blur heading into that, right? Okay, let's do it. I'm down for that if that's what it is, right? Like, I mean, you know, if we're gonna get some relief, I'm down for it, Rand. You know, but every single YouTube account and large you know, account has had hope this entire year, including his multiple times. I will say he has.
Well, no, this is Benjamin Cohen, but he was on Rand's show.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, so more in accordance with his philosophy this year for sure. But I mean, if that's the case, let's do it. Like honestly, in for him, he has been on. we're waiting for him to be wrong. Let's hope it's not this one.
Well, let's do it. I mean, he's saying we won't have a bull run until 2027.
Well,
so I don't know.
but you're gonna have an extended like cycle is what he's saying too, right? He's saying that we'll get through kind of like the end of this year, and next year we'll kind of maybe in the beginning go through a little bit more, and then eventually hit some sort of relief. I can't imagine the entire year of 2026 would be horrible.
Well, that's basically what he's saying. He's saying, you know, the first 6 months he's expecting to be a bear market, and the bottom being in 1 year from he's saying that potentially October was the bull market high, and the cycle is over, and now we're starting the bear market starting in October, and we'll finish the bear market in October of next year, potentially, and then start building up from there, and then 2027 is actually a bull market year.
Okay, I see where you're getting the 2019 correlation from now. So that's pretty much stamped in like what he's trying to do is move the template back again. I mean,
he said it's not a 4-year Bitcoin cycle; it's a monetary policy cycle. He says nothing to do with Bitcoin; it's just monetary policy and how it affects risk on assets like Bitcoin.
But do you feel like he's always had that stance?
Yeah.
He's always had that stance. He's never had the 4-year cycle stance.
He's been talking about this year being 2019 for a long time.
I know, but like what he said is that there's not a 4-year cycle. You just said
he's never really believed in the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. He's always kind of talked about the monetary cycle, the monetary policy cycle. He's always been very, very macro when it came to Bitcoin.
Interesting, because I would feel like he would definitely be into the, you know, the halving cycles and stuff like that. But maybe not. Maybe he has always been macro. Maybe that's what's, you know, throwing him off last cycle at the end.
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, I don't think he was expecting an injection of that much capital that quickly at 0 rates for that long. But yeah, we'll see. So Ethereum has been getting insane amount of stable coins over the recent couple days, even late couple of weeks. So the stablecoin supply on Ethereum has surpassed 184 billion. Why do you think there's so many stablecoins going on Ethereum right now, and we're not seeing any type of market movement coming from Ethereum at all?
Institutional.
Yeah.
I think
what are they doing with the stablecoins?
I think they're setting up products. I think they're setting up like staking and those kind of things for their end users. If they're normies or whatever, you still have to have all that infrastructure set up, right? So maybe that's what's happening. I can't think of another reason why they would do that, especially if there's not anything else really moving. People aren't moving a ton of stables on Ethereum to degen. I'll tell you that. You know, it's not a degen environment really. You know, I was checking out like the top trending tokens over there, and it's just even though they have like a launch pad, no one's really using it. And so it's going to be institutional style products, I think, and maybe it's for just institution to institution, and Aave's trying to set stuff up and all these companies that are trying to service them, or maybe it's institutions working with them trying to set products available up for their end user, the everyday customer, you know. So that is something that I think we'll learn about very quickly. But it does make you kind of raise your eyebrow a bit and say, why is there so much capital being moved on Ethereum?
Yeah, no, 100%. And got it. You know, TVL is getting so much higher than everything else. I mean, Ethereum's looking like there's more you know, liquidity on Ethereum than there is anywhere else. I mean, I think Ethereum is actually beating every chain combined right now. I could find that out for DeFi Llama, but the amount of TVL there and non-TVL is actually flying up. Non-TVL meaning stable coins just kind of sitting there, just taking up dust because they're not being staked, they're not doing anything, right? They're just sitting there. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to see for sure. Moving along though, Binance founder CZ tweeted that he used personal funds to buy ASTER tokens, emphasizing that he is not a trader but a holder, following this ASTER surge 20% before it did dip today back down to original 99 cents where CZ tweeted this at. But what do you think about CZ coming out and saying this? I mean, obviously he already holds shares, but he says that's from, you know, it's not his personal portfolio, that's from like his investment company, you know, YZI Labs, but now he personally owns ASTER tokens at that dip.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that personally. I feel like he's advocating for it. It sounds like to me. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's like, I'm not a trader, I hold whatever the rules are. I'm sure he's following them because, you know, I don't think he would do something stupid like that, but it got people to buy it. You know, and so it thrusted some energy up. One thing I'm starting to look is how does he act from here on in the short term towards ASTER? If he goes through another kind of like rally of ASTER up, I'm going to be paying attention to the Binance ecosystem to see if they do kind of like a repeat for like some of those memes on like 4.meme and stuff like that. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. But that's how it started last time, though. ASTER had this really big kind of, you know, campaign almost and thrust up, and then you saw it trickle out into like the Binance Smart Chain, liquidity going there on the Binance Smart Chain, right? So it's definitely something I'm going to be paying attention to, but I'm not sure it's going to happen exactly that way. But I'll be paying attention to it in case it does.
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting. It's really bullish to me for ASTER, the fact that CZ, you know, he's only tweeted three tokens, right? I mean, Bitcoin, BNB, and now ASTER. So definitely something to be paying attention to when CZ's purchasing with his own money. But let's move along to our next segment here. So every Monday we like to have the great guys over at MerlinChain on MerlinChain. They're building something truly special in my eyes. I mean, it's Bitcoin DeFi, right? Bitcoin DeFi is going to be one of the biggest sectors. Obviously, everyone's holding their Bitcoin, you know, and it have nothing to do with it. Merlin's actually giving you an opportunity to earn 17% yield. Well, that at least that was for the last one. Right now, there's an average. So depending on how much Bitcoin gets in there, the more yield you get, or a little less. But I mean, 17% yield on your Bitcoin is absolutely insane. And then not just that, if you have the Merl token, you want to lock it up for 6 months, they are offering a 45% yield over there. And they're building the Merlin Wizard. Merlin Wizard is top notch, in my opinion. I've used it many times for swapping, staking, and it actually gives you detailed explanations on what is happening in different sectors, not just Merlin. So definitely check out wizard.tech for sure. But without further ado, let's bring in Jeff. Jeff, welcome back to OnChain Revolution, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, hopefully you've had a good weekend. I think we might have to take an additional 2 weeks off for vacation after today's bloody market. Curious on your thoughts on Bitcoin. Almost, you know, looked like it was heading to 100,000, but it has rebounded a little bit. Do you feel like we're just kind of still in that recovery mode as a market as whole? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually talking to one of the biggest market makers in Singapore today, and I think people are surprised because on the news segment part, people think it should be bullish because the trade deal was made, the SEC is doing well, and people are expecting the price to go up for the general market. But if you look at the numbers, you see all these DAT companies are not buying Ethereum, Bitcoin with big volume, and some of them are actually selling the tokens to get the shares back. So so I think right now nobody knows what's going on. But I actually just commented on somebody's tweet saying I think the influence from October 11th still continue because the market lost huge chunk of liquidity. Like we talked about this in the past few shows, that we need to look into that to look at like who's losing money and who's making money, and that like 30-40 billion dollar liquidation is not a small number. Before we had like 10 not 10, 1 billion, $2 billion liquidation, and the market kind of needs like few weeks to bounce back. But this time we lost much more than that. So I think the influence is still there. We cannot expect liquidity comes from nowhere. So yeah, I think like I said, I think we need some recovery time, and hopefully this time it's not taking too long. But generally speaking, still trying to figure out where the new liquidity is coming from.
Have you ever seen like going into Q4 like a holiday season to where it's been almost kind of like uncertain? Because I feel like almost every holiday season you get some sort of energy or rally at some point. I actually can't remember the last one where it was down only in the last quarter. And so what do you think about that? Is this kind of new, or do you feel like we've seen moments like this just in the past? You just probably weren't paying attention to the markets at the time.
Yeah, I think the general influence is always bigger than seasonal occasion, like impact, because generally speaking, the market lost liquidity. If you look around, everybody's losing money. No matter you're a project owner, you're a builder, you're a market maker, you're a trader. You do memes, you do altcoin, you do Bitcoin, Ethereum. You're accompanying with treasuries, with digital assets. I think if you look around, everybody seems losing money, and I just think this is the best sign for the market, because if everyone is losing money, many of them or most of them are just thinking about quit the game, because if people are thinking about quitting the game, that just means the market is going down. I think generally right now, this is like the basic sentiments that people are, quitting the game.
Yeah, I have a question when it comes to like your past experience with seeing this Bitcoin sell off a little bit. So I'm seeing a lot of bigger whales come waking up and kind of dumping their Bitcoin on these exchanges, and these exchanges are sending that Bitcoin to places like Wintermute and these market makers, and everyone on the timeline is going crazy because, oh well, Binance, Coinbase, BlackRock, they're all selling their Bitcoin, they're sending their Bitcoin to Wintermute, but they're not seeing that all these whales are actually waking up and they're taking their Bitcoin that's been sitting in their wallet for 7-10 years, and they're actually dumping them on these exchanges, and the exchanges have no choice but to send these to Wintermute for market making. Is this something common in previous cycles before a rip of these giant whales kind of selling beforehand?
Yeah, I think it happens like every time. Like
Okay.
if you remember last year, the German government sold like lots of Bitcoin. I cannot remember like billions of dollars of Bitcoin, and the market, it was just fine. The market, took hit, but then like grow like faster and double the price that the German government sold the Bitcoin. So I think it's all about buying and selling, and in general, when the market hits all-time high, yeah, there's some sleepy whales wake up and dump their Bitcoin. But as long as the market are still buying, that should not be a problem. Because every time when you see Bitcoin comes from like 10K to 50K, the whales are selling not on 50K. The whales are actually selling from 20 to 40K, and still the price goes up to 50K, 60K, 69K. I think last time all-time high. So yeah, I think it's more about buying power. And right now, all these, like if you look at like MicroStrategy, if you look at all these DAT company, in general, people are just not buying. And some people who are being active, are being risk on, lost their money, in October 11th. So when these people lose money, and these people are the most, like active pro traders, when they lose liquidity in their pockets, they probably turn off their risk mode.
Yeah, and what it sounded like to me before Shizzy's question was that you were saying that like during the market conditions that we're in right now, it's almost kind of like maybe like the .com bubble a little bit, or like a situation to where industries almost kind of flushing out. I think is too harsh of a word, but maybe proving to which projects and which founders have that ability to march through something like this. And then then we'll come out on the other side. There'll probably be some new ones that come out at that end, kind of a refresh of energy. Is that what you were alluding to a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I don't think anybody can fight against the market. So it's a super hard mode for everyone. Like I said, no matter who you are, even CZ is taking lots of blames. Binance is taking lots of complaints. Lots of people lost money and trying to file suit against them. So I think everybody's experiencing a hard time. And at that time, nobody can fight the market, but all we can do is to calm down and to keep building. But yeah, in general, I think right now the market problem is losing liquidity.
Yeah,
gotcha. I have a question about the Merl token. So on my board here, everything is red except a few things. Merlin is one of them, and then you have like the Dixie and the Bitcoin dominance. Why is Merl staying green when everything else is just getting killed?
I think first we have done something, we actually encourage users to stake, so that definitely lock up some liquidity, and we keep buying. We if people actually check our buyback address, I think we bought back like something like 8 to 10 million tokens in the past 2 weeks. So we still keep buying back from the market, and to make sure the sell pressure is is lower. And because Binance did their job, so there are going to be some paper hands have token just to dump on the market. So yeah, so you can see the price actually goes up a lot and come back a little bit, and then being stable. So yeah, I think the market is kind of crazy. But with more airdrops, with more users, with more exposures, yeah, we definitely reach out to a different community as well. There are some people that because like a year ago, most people who are trading Merl is the users who have been to the ordinal space, who have been actually trading, having fun on MerlinChain. But right now, if you look at many users, holders, probably they don't have a wallet on MerlinChain at all. They just see this token being strong and steady on centralized exchanges, and then they pick the project to be the ones they want to hold, they want to buy. So yeah, I think we've done many things, but none of that is being done in just one day. It's just like lots of work we have been putting into the project, and somehow in the hardest time, the work pays off. And I'm not saying this going up can be like forever. I'm just saying it's just some work that team has done behind the scene, and somehow actually shows during the hardest time.
Yeah, and it's not just showing for the price either. Like if you tweet Merl now on the timeline, you actually see an actual community that's being built right now. Before, I used to tweet Merl all the time, and hashtag Merl or at Merlin, and you see nothing. Now you're actually seeing a lot of these people with actually blue check marks, right? This isn't just like bots. This is actually real people that are commenting. And if you can see the tweets, there's a lot of people that are bullish on Merlin that weren't bullish a couple months ago, which is really awesome to see, especially in the time that we're having.
Yeah. Well, I think right now the time that we're going through right now, these harder times, people are looking at for trust, right? They're looking to see.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these meme narratives aren't running, is because it's been ran multiple times and there's no trust there. But like whenever you see something that sticks out like that, you build trust and you say, oh wow, okay, so this I have more confidence in this. And I think that's what's happening right now with Merl, which is great. You guys deserve it. You've been working hard this entire time. But okay, so what does a project like Merl do right now? Because you said it's hard for everybody, so it's hard for you guys as well. You guys are strategizing obviously with tokenomics and all that stuff, but like outside of that, what does a project, a blockchain like MerlinChain do during these hard times?
I think just to be 100% honest, I think at that time people are not thinking. I mean the founders, all these projects, they're not, most likely they're not thinking about building something. I think the first thing then you think about is how to maintain, how to like have some liquidity in their treasury, how to pay their employees salary, to be honest, just to maintain the project to be alive and waiting for the next boom. So I think when I look around, when I talk to all these fellow builders, I think like right now that's the most important thing to do. Look at your burn rate, look at your cash flow, and make a decision for yourself. Like am I building this project in the next 3 to 6 months? Sometimes people give up. It's fine. But you have to ask yourself, the question. And if you are still building, what's the cost for that? I mean, not only the salary part, but also like when we actually have a project, you have lots of costs to cover. The server fee, the market making fees, the team, and also you're still going to do some campaigns. You're still going to do some marketing. You're still going to all these events and promote about your brand. So yeah, I think right now that's the most important thing to consider, because right now I don't think anybody have the mood to think about how do I build a revolutionary product to change the whole ecosystem. That's just a long shot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's hard right now, but you guys seem to still being able to find yield and stuff like that, especially right now with your Bitcoin. You can go there and you can get an average. I mean, last time it was an average of 17. You guys are not 100% sure yet what it's going to be an average of yield for the people that are locking their Bitcoin right now. But what are you guys looking at when it comes to DeFi right now? Do you think that there is enough areas to put some of this Bitcoin and kind of earn like you guys did last time?
I think right now we are like today we are actually looking at more risk control. I'm not trying to spread the bad news every day, but always like being honest and true. Because today I don't know if you guys saw Balancer lost 120 million dollars on different chains and on Ethereum, on Arbitrum, on Berachain. I think Berachain actually did a hard fork, which is crazy because people don't normally do hard fork for like a DEX hack incident, but when they do, that just means the loss is huge. So and MBTC is on all these chains, so we actually had a call internally and try to figure out, do we have any loss. At this moment we have zero exposure to that instance, because we're not on Balancer and we're not influenced by other protocols related to Balancer. But yeah, I think right now everybody just needs to look at on the downside more, because when the market is doing bad, there are lots of bad things could happen. When the market is going down, you see lots of hack incidents. Sometimes you see, oh, no, this is actually hacked, and sometimes it's just like stolen from the team. I mean, we have to face that fact. So lots of bad shit can happen, during the hard time. So right now we are more looking at the downside. We're trying to make steady, safe yields. Even for a few weeks we don't make any money, that's fine. Just make sure we don't lose any money.
Yeah, I think that's huge. That's a huge statement there. Is risk mitigation. That's the biggest approach I think that any founder right now that has that type of product can do right now. Okay, so I want Jeff to take off his founder hat for a second. Let's talk about Jeff pre Merlin, as a trader that came in years and years ago, right? How would Jeff kind of handle these current market conditions? And you can use the knowledge that you have now, but how would you handle it as a trader? This is not financial advice. I'm just curious, as Jeff, as like one of us type of mentality, how would you handle this current market for the next 6 months to 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, just look at your wallet. I think I've been saying this for like at least a year. Just don't have too many weird assets in your wallet. Have stables, have Bitcoin, even have Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Tron. Like people are like saying lots of shit about Solana, Tron, or BNB, but on the other hand, they have lots of crap in their wallets. So just clear all your trash token in your wallet. If if you have one asset that is going down forever, don't expect this to be like 100 times higher in the near future. Sell them as soon as possible. I'm not saying selling everything. I mean, I still have some already in my wallet, so I'm just saying, keep the wallet simple. Just have like some assets that you feel related to. Have some already, have some dog, have some Merlin. Doesn't matter, but make sure majority of your assets are stables and all these major tokens. I don't think you will lose a lot if you just hold Tron, BNB, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And yeah, have some stables in your wallet, so you always have bullet. Even Bitcoin goes down to 50K. If you have stables, you can buy that Bitcoin and make your average cost like close to 75K, right? So, and we all know Bitcoin is not going to be under 75K forever. So yeah, have some stables, have some major tokens. Clear all the trash, and because all this trash just take up your mind, take up your time, and just have huge effect on your emotions. Because every time I look at my stats and already, I feel kind of sad. So I just I actually transfer all these coins to another wallet, so I don't have to open my OKX, Binance, and see them every day. So I don't see them anymore. I open my OKX, I only see Bitcoin, stables, and Merlin, right? So at least the chart is not that bad. You don't see red every day. You see some green, you see some red. So yeah, I think right now just clear all the whatever trash assets you have, and have some stables and Bitcoin in your wallet. Even Bitcoin goes up to 120K tomorrow, you don't feel that bad. But if you have all the trash coins in your wallet, you will feel really, really bad. And I think where your mind is, messed up, that's not good for any decision, making in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was really clear. It's basically what I got from that was it's not time to speculate at this moment. The stuff that you have in your wallet should be proven to some degree, so you're not constantly looking at it. You're not constantly, using your energy there. Rather, you can use your time and your energy towards something more productive in the meantime until we get back into that market.
Yeah, like you cannot imagine how much crap I have in my Bitcoin wallet, right? I have like 20, 30 different wallets there and lots of crap. I just don't look at them anymore. But when I look at all these, Discord chats, Telegram chats, and WeChat, the group chats from Merlin community, I see many people, they whine about, some asset they have. For example, they have some Bitcoin frog, they have some whatever, NFT, they have some big mag in the wallets. Just keep whining about the assets, for like a month, for like 5 months, 10 months, and just use that energy to do something different. Even just hang out with your friends, going out with your family. I think that's even better because, like, no matter how hard you look at all these assets, the price is not going up.
That was the hard truth right there.
For sure. Are you looking for anything new out there? Like, we had the launch of Spark, and then it kind of went down, and then there's a couple other new stuff that's happening, Mega ETH and stuff like that. Are you right now looking at any of this new stuff for potential, gains?
Yeah. I mean, right now I spend like 90% of my time, like looking at new stuff because BTC it doesn't take much of my time. My partner and team does the major work. I don't like put my time in that anymore. So yeah, but I just don't want to share like everything I look into and just like seems like I'm sharing new assets. But for new altcoin listed on central exchange, I don't encourage people to buy. I actually encourage people to short. If you think that's a good idea, because like I said, right now people's mindset. Like I talk to many founders. Some of them are launching new tokens in the past 2 weeks and also in the next 2 weeks. I cannot say whom, but I talked to them 3-4 weeks ago, and they seem very bullish. Everything we talk is about how to make the price go higher, how to build new products, how to catch the new narrative. But in the past few days when I talk to them, you can feel like the sentiment, the emotion is different. People are thinking about how to protect my downside, which means all these founders kind of turn off, their risk mode. So, if that's the case, you better don't be bullish about this new, all these new projects.
Love it. Great answer, by the way. It definitely answered a lot of my personal questions. I'm kind of sitting there like, should I get involved? Should I get involved? So that definitely helped me for sure.
Yeah.
I think the main difference between me as a builder and retail users is I can actually talk to different parties, like the exchanges, the market makers, the projects, the big whales on a daily basis, so I can feel their emotion. And I know a very good friend of mine, he's just hopping on every Twitter space and to listen to the people talking and feel their sentiment, feel their emotion. I think like no matter what the chart is, what the news on Twitter, I think that kind of sentiment is very important because you can see people are exiting or are staying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, that was, that's a good strategy that I need to just pop in spaces and listen. Those are little things people don't think are a big deal, but they are. They're data research, right? So, well, we know you're a busy man, so we'd like to, give you the stage to talk about anything we might have left off, anything with Merlin that might be happening, upcoming, or anything like that before we let you go.
Yeah, I think right now it's hard time. So no matter what we say here, I don't think people have the patience to listen to it. But yeah, like I said, just I think the brain, the brain function, the emotion is the most important thing because people don't make good decisions when they're panicked. So yeah, just clear your mind, clear your wallet, and just have some stables. Like even right now, I can sell my order. Just have some stables in my hand. I think that makes you feel safe. And when you feel safe, you can take whatever time, when, how, and to make the future decisions. So I think that's not news today. It happened to us in the past 10 years, ups and downs. So I don't think it's the end of the war, but it's end of war for some people. Just don't be that person.
Perfect. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff, man. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you.
Take it easy.
Everybody. Absolutely awesome as always. Great to always to talk to Jeff every single week, guys. You get a founder of a chain to come on the show every single week, and we really pick his mind for kind of what he's thinking and what he's looking at and stuff like that. So you definitely don't want to miss these. Though now we got daylight savings time, so that's why it was a half hour earlier than normal. So it'll be like that probably going forward as well. But man, absolutely awesome to talk to Jeff, man, especially today.
Yeah, and I mean, some of that was just like not easy to hear, in terms of the market conditions, but he's always going to give it straight. And I think, even it was good for me to listen to that today. And having stables in your wallet is good to feel secure, but also, in case something new happens. And from what I took from that was like, if there is something new in this current market condition, you probably want to take advantage of the short term of that, and then get more stables to be ready for the next one situation type thing, or possibly short if there's options like that. But yeah, I mean, this is where we are, November 2025. I'm very bullish on, and you and I talked about that. It's bullish on Jeff, the founder, and bullish on some of our partners as founders, as people, and those are the ones that are gonna get through the hard times.
Yeah, 100%. And like we're the ones that we don't believe in, we're cutting, right? So we're trying to get some amazing, and that's one thing we realized, and we're growing as OnChain Revolution is, we need to find the founders that make us bullish, not the projects, because sometimes the projects are fooling. But if you can find a founder who has a great mind, like Jeff, like Jake and Shannon Code from Emma Vault, you can really kind of get bullish on something for the future and not worry about the now. And that's kind of something that we're both learning personally. It's not about the project, it's about the founder and who's leading it, right? So but let's jump into some other stuff here. So I'm gonna do away with crypto fear and greed. I meant to tell you that pre-show, so we're gonna get rid of that. There's no point in looking at that. It's always late news. So we're gonna jump right into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. So basically, what if you guys are new to the show and don't know what the crypto price action and crypto bubbles are? This is where we go through each asset, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and take a look at each asset that is red or green on the bubbles.
Yep. And a couple comments before we get into that. Myself said it's just unrealized losses. So that is partly true for sure. People, as long as they don't sell. But I think cleaning up the wallet thing kind of really made me open my ears and eyes a bit with that, right? So, and then he talks about it's got to be harder for businesses in crypto. That is a 1000% fact right now. And so the ones that are like okay right now, pay attention to those, because those are the ones that are like they've been prepared for a moment like we're in right now. So in the stance says amazing transparency, paying employees. Yep, absolutely. But before we get into the price action, guys, on the YouTube side, smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do that, because you can turn your notifications on and know when we go live. On the X side, let's share the space to get as many people in here as possible. Same thing with all our other platforms, and you guys know who you are out there: Abstract, Kick, Rumble, all of those great ones. But let's jump into some price action here, which looks like we found some short-term footing here. Let's see, how long this lasts. But you can see here, we have a bit of a rebound on this hour candle here. It was really bad, just constantly just bleeding out there, right? But we still haven't, exited the sell pressure just yet. You can see it is weakening here. It's weakening a little bit, but with something that just happened this morning like that, I personally just kind of observe it continuously until I feel confident that we are out of the sell pressure completely. And, that could take a couple days really just to kind of keep monitoring it. But yeah, as of right now, we are still in sell pressure. You know, I think we need to see this close up, obviously, turnover, and then see some aggressive buy pressure to kind of rebound. Even then, it's kind of like I'm at the point where I need explanations of what that sell down was, right? So there has to be something really strong correlated to that. But yeah, so that's where I am right now in terms of Bitcoin on the hour chart. I'm not going to be fooled by this green candle. I'm not saying it's to suck people in, but it very well could be. I remember, you know, the days of 2024 of feeling like, you know, we were back in it, you know, heading closer to 70,000, only to get struck back down back to 58 or something like that, right? So I think we're kind of in this real like uncertainty zone with Bitcoin right now. You know, it keeps fluctuating back and forth. But we'll see if we can maintain above 100,000. That is a big thing, because if we break down below that, you know, I think we have to maybe concede to like we're in a short-term bear market. Like that's, you know, pretty aggressive at least. But yeah, so that's what I see for the hour chart. So you can see right now already on this next candle here, it's starting red, but you know, it had just started. So we'll see how this continues here on the 4 hour. Let's take a look here on the 4 hour chart with Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just showing still the aggressive sell down here. So 4 hours telling me we're not done yet. Even if we do, you know, have in this candle green, we're still in sell pressure here. So we'll see, you know, if it has to be pretty aggressive to break this down from this point. 4 hours telling me more sell down. Daily just started the sell pressure candle on the MACD. So definitely something to kind of take a look at. I pulled up the 50-day EMA here on the daily chart, and it looks like it's, you know, we're below that. So we need to get above this, and to get above this right now, we're looking at 113. Even if we pull back to the 4 hour here, we need to be at 110, right? So if we can get back above that, then, you know, we could, the last time we were above that was here, which was yesterday morning, right? So definitely need to bounce above that if we want to see some more upwards trajectory using the 50-day EMA. Ethereum here, same thing on the hour chart, man. Just looks like this is actually worse. Ethereum selling down more aggressively. You can see here, it's still in that dark red zone for Ethereum on the 1 hour chart. It's in that 36.16. Oh man, I would not have expected that for November 3rd for Ethereum. And then we go down to the 4 hour. 4 hours, same situation, still wants to sell down. So 1 hour, 4 hour telling us that we have more to go for Ethereum on the hour on the downtrend here. Daily chart. So Ethereum's definitely selling down a bit more aggressive. It looks like, at least the indicators are telling us that a bit more, a tad bit more aggressive than Bitcoin has been. So that's where we are right now. If Ethereum starts to do something on its own, then we could maybe put a thought together that, you know, people are maybe selling some of their Bitcoin into Ethereum. That's just not happening. So that's something to keep an eye on, though, for sure. So that's Bitcoin. Ethereum looks like it still wants to sell down, or it's not done yet, at least for the sell pressure on most all of the time frames there. The crypto bubbles right here. Yeah, we're looking at 98 to 2%, pretty much, maybe a little bit more, red to green here. ASTER pulling back 18%, back below $1. Isn't that crazy? Like, he just posted about that. Like, CZ just posted, I was like, I'm buying ASTER here. And then, like, market collapses.
Yeah.
I don't think it's him to blame, but it's just timing sucked for that.
Well, he bought it and it ran 20%. It went to $1.20 yesterday. And then now it's back down to where he bought it at 99 cents, 98 cents, or wherever it's at now.
Yeah. You have to pay attention to the I'm not a trader, I buy and hold part, right? That's where it's important. Hex pulling back to about 7% here. You know, everything's really pulled back. Plasma being one of the outliers that is up 8% on the day. Not sure why. Meme Core is up 4.8%. Zcash is up 5%. Zcash privacy has been looking pretty good. Dash is up 1.7%. Some other notables that have pulled back. I mean, most of these are 8 to 10% if you take a look here, which is pretty substantial, right? For just kind of like getting started for that pullback. Virtual is pulling back a hard 16%, almost there, like 15.8%. So that's a pretty significant pullback. Stacks almost 10% there. Ethereum 6.4%. That's significant for Ethereum. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's 3.1%. So yeah, it is pulling back at a faster rate than Bitcoin is right now. So that's something to look at, because if you remember, those were the days when the pullbacks really punched you in the gut, is when Ethereum was speed past Bitcoin on the pullbacks, right? That was never a good sign. Pump is down almost 10% there. Let's take a look at the top 200. Top 200, you got OG coin up 26.8%, Co-AI up 3.3%. Interesting. You got Batcoin up 2%, DCR up 45% there, Kula up 1.8%. And that's pretty much it on this chart here. You got Brett pulling back 12.7%, Radium pulling back about 10%, Fartcoin pulling back 15.4%, sitting at 27 cents. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It has been kind of just, yeah. I mean, like, even on the rise back up, it really didn't get like anywhere close to where it was.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of in that zone, right? You got Zora down 9.3%, Jasmine down 8.7%. So yeah, that's pretty much everybody is down between 8 and 10%. If you're up, you're in a small group of other tokens that are also up right now. And there has to be some sort of reason why you are up. But that is what we are looking at, guys, for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto bubbles.
Yeah, man, 100%. All right, let's jump to the next thing here, which is the roll call. Every day we go into roll call and we take the first comment of the day. We put that on a show. So there is a little bit of a issue with this. I don't know, because I'm not on the YouTube thing. I'm not seeing ASAP Benji, but on my personal screen, I'm seeing ASAP Benji with one spot. So I'm going to give it to him because it's number one coin thing that I see. Apparently it got wiped out. I must have been in here. I was in here super early today, so that could be why, but I'm going to give it to him. So today officially is 11-3, and ASAP Benji, congratulations to you, my friend. You have win number 20 on the year. Congratulations to you, fighting for that third spot. Congratulations, my friend. And then we have the great, I'm actually showing the screen here. I forgot to show that screen. Sorry. All right. Yeah. So you got number 20 on the year there. So, all right, let's dig into the rest of the comments here. We got Arita, my guy. Appreciate you being here today. Webdro is here. Shout out to Webdro. Tim Baker, AOD Art himself. Appreciate you, my friend. He even sees it because he said Benji for the win. So he definitely seen it as well. Hydro Sapien is here. ASAP Benji again. Bitcoin is truth again. Abstract, the legendary one. I gotta start messing around with Abstract again. I'm feel like I'm gonna get behind on that airdrop. Vader Time is here. Shout out to Vader Time. Lackey Lukey, the legend himself. Appreciate you, my friend, here each and every day. Satoshi Nakamoto. Same thing with you, man. He said excited for the money printer. I think we all are. Chief Axel is here. Shout out to Chief Axel. Followed up by Webdro again. Then we have the amazing Mice Elf, as always. Appreciate you, my friend. Big turnout today from our legends here, guys, who are backing us every single day, like Cash Cats here with the coffee and the donuts and the dog go to the moon. He's tweeting that on a day that dog is basically at all-time low. So shout out to Cash Cats, man. Still part of the dog army. He is somebody who, he's either going to make it and be very, very rich, or he's going to be very, very sad. But I appreciate you, Cash, man, every single day. Super fan is here. GM, appreciate you, my friend. He said, I haven't been here for the live streams lately, but I've always watched later in the day. I'm an OR late shift. Let's go. We got our night shifts here. Appreciate you, super fan. Myself says, I'm just waiting for the business cycle to turn up. Yeah, 100%, man. Appreciate you. Erdrick says Leonidas won't give up. The dude would rather come home on a shield. What does he mean here? Come home on a shield? Well, is that like?
I mean, die on a shield, basically, is what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, at this point, like I don't think he has a choice, right? Because he's so deeply embedded into that community.
Yeah, he sounded rough this morning. I was listening to a little bit of the Ordinal show, and he sounded like he was a little tired of I mean,
wouldn't you be?
100%. Merlin's Lucky is here. He said scalable, decentralized, forward thinking, but alignment with Bitcoin and Ethereum, all on MerlinChain. I love it. Merlin's Lucky. One of the few who've been bullish on Merl like us all the way through. When Merl was like 6-7 cents, we were still out here talking about how amazing what Jeff was building, right? And you were with us that entire time. Appreciate you, my friend. Myself says it's just unrealized losses, 100%. He said, yeah, it's got to be harder for business in crypto. Yeah, dude. we talk to businesses every single day, especially the crypto ones. You know what I mean? And it's never been like
As
harder for
hard.
them. So
Yep.
yeah, as hard. So 100%. And then we have Stan. He said amazing transparency, paying employees 100%. And then my guy Superfan says 100% with on with the founder comments. Also helpful in my opinion when the project has a founder-led communications and community-led direction. You know, authenticity it can comes through 100%, dude. So that's one thing about Jeff doesn't miss the show. I mean, he probably missed 2 out of the last year because he was traveling or something. And he's someone here and he's willing to answer any question. Just come in here, drop your question in before he hops in, and we'll make sure that he sees your question. He's somebody who's I ask him some tough questions sometimes, especially when it comes to Merle, and he knocks him out the park every single time. So shout out to the founders with communication for sure. And finishing all up with the man Sham. I appreciate you, my friend, every single day. I think you were here a couple times last week. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. All right, let's jump into some other stuff here. I got a lot still to cover. All right, so this is interesting, right? So Balancer, one of DeFi's oldest trading protocols, was hit with a massive exploit this morning. Millions in crypto were drained, and the investigation is ongoing. On November 3rd, trackers saw about 70 million suddenly leave Balancer's main vault. Stolen assets, 6.8 thousand ETH and 6.5 thousand wrapped ETH and 4,200. I'm sorry, I'm way off of this. 6,800 ETH, OS ETH, 6,500 wrapped ETH, and 4,200 WST ETH. I'm not really sure what they are. They're definitely wrapped version than staked ETH. All Ethereum-based tokens. The exploit target Balancer's V2 vault contract, which stores pool funds for all users. Hackers found the code flaw allowing unauthorized withdrawals directly from the vault. Some reports suggest the total loss could succeed 120, 100 million, somewhere in that no one really knows for sure yet. Balancer has confirmed its investigation, but hasn't issued a detailed statement yet. So pretty insane. That Balancer. I mean, when I talk about Uniswap and some of these bigger Aves, you have to mention Balancer. I mean, they're one of the true OGs. They don't have as much TVL as these bigger guys, but they've been around from the beginning.
Yeah, I think eventually you're gonna have to have like these auditing companies insure a certain amount. When we know if they do an audit, final audit of these protocols, and have some sort of system with that, because the auditor should have caught this, or somebody should have, you know what I mean? And I think we will in the future. But with that being said, they're going to have like investigations and all types of things, which is good for these kind of situations. I mean, $128 million is a lot of money, even though it's not comparable to some of these huge like losses, like the FTX situation, the Luna and stuff like that. But it's still significant enough to hurt people, and so that's what comes to my mind first, is like, how did the auditors not catch this? If so, if they change the code, then like I think there should be like this type of insurance situation that backs these big auditors, that could set the biggest auditors apart from the rest of them too, that these institutions would want to use them in case something goes wrong, they miss something, they're at least backed by something. I know that's not, I'm talking about in a sector that's not really here yet, but I think it comes, and I think it solves some of these issues, because they're going to be even more on top of it. Maybe they'll do routine audits, right, of their code, and saying, hey, this has changed. Just know if you changed it from our last audit, we won't cover that, or et cetera, right? So, but this is unfortunate, because this is always a smear on our space when we see stuff like this.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think they have a Balancer V3, the same as Uniswap V3, but I think these were like really old pools that these attackers actually found an exploit in there. So it was really up to you as a person to kind of move it to a V3 pool instead of keeping it in the V2s or adding to the V2s. So it was definitely something that you have to understand when you're playing in DeFi. You have to make sure there's a reason why a lot of these teams upgrade, right? Because right now, if you want to use a Uniswap V2, you can, but there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't, right? Especially because they have these all new upgrades and stuff like that. So it was definitely something on the lines of, potentially they saw this but there was, you know, it was never attacked before. I don't know what the issue is, but it's something that happened, and more information will come on this in the next couple of days, I'm sure. So I'm actually going to be digging into and kind of learning about, you know, potentially why they haven't upgraded fully to V3, and kind of digging into potential, you know, why people didn't take this money out and put them in other pools. So we'll see.
Yeah, but who does this look bad on?
Looks bad on crypto as a whole.
I know, but like if you're talking about an entity, who does it look bad on?
Balancer.
Exactly, right. And so it's kind of like
Balancer is not an entity. They're a DeFi platform. They're a decentralized platform owned by the token holders.
But it's like whoever's still like in charge, like the core team, all these things, they want more and more TVL, right?
Yes. But
Okay,
they've already upgraded to V3 like
I get that.
months ago.
I get that, but it doesn't
you
matter.
can't. They're not stopping people from. You can't stop people from using a pool.
So my point is though is that it's still going to ruin their reputation, their brand. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for
It's
sure.
no matter what, that's going to happen from like a branding perspective. And so if you're okay with that, then just keep doing what you're doing within that space.
But let me ask you this: so if because Uniswap never uses, they don't use the DeFi stuff, right? I mean, they don't use V2 anymore. They only use V3. So if Uniswap V2 got hacked, for whatever reason, would you blame Uniswap?
So
But they've already upgraded. If you go to uniswap.org, you're using V3, but you can still contact the old pools.
I don't. It's not about me. It's about the headlines.
Yeah,
the headlines are putting Balancer in there. Like I could say sure from like a logical perspective of understanding the space to that level, of course, right? But like that's not how people read headlines right now. Everybody that doesn't understand that is saying Balancer messed up big time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Oh man, how do you say this? Subitity. Digital ID is the answer. I'm not really sure what you mean about digital ID is the answer for this, but let me know. I'm curious. So,
I think what he's saying is that like to be able to trace the hackers, maybe digital ID.
Yeah, but then we have to, like, anytime you use a DeFi protocol, I have to give my social security number. I ain't doing that. I'll just avoid it. So that's not an answer for me at all. So I mean, I'm not worried about KYC, and for me, I just don't want to give these random DeFi platforms my social security number, right? Like I don't want to do that, So, all right, so there was one chain that was really affected, and that was Berachain. So Berachain validators halted the network shortly after the Balancer Labs exploit in order to conduct emergency hard fork to isolate compromised contracts and protect funds. The halt intended to allow the recovery of affected assets, those in liquidity pools tied to Balancer V2 deployments on Berachain. The fork is not just a simple block rollback because non-native assets were affected. They say the process will be involved in a mixture of rollback and roll forward techniques to recover funds. I hate every part of this. Yeah, I don't. It's just, how do you feel about this?
Not great, because it sounds. If it was a simple, this is what we're doing, we're rolling back, then everybody would understand what they're doing. I mean, Ethereum had one back in the day too. So like, if you want to point fingers at things, you could say, well, Ethereum did that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're using this approach of like basically undoing the puzzle and putting the puzzle together how see fit to make sure everything is good, that's worrisome a bit, because it's like they're gonna mold everything to where everybody's okay, which that's fine. Everybody wants everybody to not be affected, but like, what else does that entail? And like, what else can you do with that towards the future? And when are you going to determine it deserves something like that? I don't think that they would want to do something like that in the future again, obviously, but.
So what they're doing is they're doing the rollback only on the assets that got affected. So they're not doing rollback on the full chain. So if you came in and bought the Berachain dip on a DEX, you're not going to be affected. You're still going to have your coins. But they are just rolling back the unlocking of the assets, all the withdrawals that happened inside this. So they're basically isolating it to only this.
So they're going to roll everything back
forward So everything's going to be exactly the same, but they're only going to roll back. So basically, they're going to take the forward stuff and bring them back with everything else. So they're basically going to snapshot it, give everyone their token. So if you bought the dip, you're going to have the dip, but still isolate what happened in the balancer exploit.
Yeah. So they're rolling everything back, but they're just going to roll forward back what wasn't affected, and then the transactions that were malicious,
like
they'll roll back.
Exactly. Like how mad would you be if because the Berachain coin took a dip, right? You bought the dip up, and then a day later you check your wallet, you have your USDC back because technically you didn't buy that dip. You'd be pissed off. All right, so that's actually kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Animoca Brands has filed for a U.S. listing via proposed reverse merger with Singapore's Currenc group on Nasdaq. So this is a SPAC deal. Animoca Brands will become the newest crypto company to enter the stock market. Rumor has it that they're going to be kind of like a penny stock in the beginning, but right now their biggest product are the Sandbox, RVVV Motorsport, Phantom Galaxies, Benji Bananas, Crazy Defense Heroes, Crazy Kings, Power Rangers Battle of the Grid, which they bought the rights to, Base One, and Sigcraft Comrade and Archie. I never heard of any of these games besides Sandbox and Power Rangers. But what do you think about Animoca now becoming a publicly traded company on the Nasdaq?
I think whoever's in the leadership of Animoca Brands has TradFi experience along with just really good corporate experience as well, and strong VC experience too, because they are doing kind of a not spray and pray. That's more of the degen verbiage, right? But something to where where they see value in possible successful brands, they invest in them or environments and stuff, and they're everywhere. By the way, they're laying their bets in obviously Ethereum or the EVM sector, the Bitcoin sector. They've had a good presence surprisingly over there, like a good sizable presence, and probably Solana as well. So I think they're going to be they have a possibility of a bright future, just because they seem to know what they want to do, and they're okay with taking losses. But now going into the public sector too, that's interesting. So they're going to be somebody to look at in my opinion, because to me what they're trying to be is a brand of like that's a little bit behind the scenes, and then a couple of their brands will become huge, and then people will be like powered by Animoca Brands or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a little bit behind the curtain, but they laid their bets because they believe a couple of these. All they need is like one huge like viral product, right? So I think that's what they're shooting for, and then they could really get some recognition in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And on top of that, them reaching out to potential, one of the rumors is that they're working with Rockstar behind the scenes, potentially going to be doing some stuff with them. The other one is they want to reach out to some of these larger entities like EA Sports and say, hey, when you let's do the NFT stuff, let us handle that whole back end on chain. We'll figure all that out for you. You guys keep doing your thing, and you pay us a portion of the marketplace rewards. This is something that they want to get. They want to be the marketplaces in game, right? Because they've already done that with the likes of Sandbox. You can buy land and stuff like that, and they have in-game marketplaces with that. And some of these other games as well. You buy the NFT, you're able to play the game, and they want to come maybe even do that with Fortnite and stuff like that. But being a public traded company, I think, in my opinion, opens the doors to a lot of these Web2 gaming companies that maybe wouldn't respect them up until potentially getting on the stock market and seeing the investors that are investing in them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's getting your foot into the door, but you have to be, and you have to be you have to be in the party, and
Exactly.
before you can really network there. And like I said, I've felt like they have shown confidence in a lot of the things that they've tried in the Bitcoin ecosystem, even though some of it hasn't really amounted to too much. Some of it has, though. I think they're a part of the Odin stuff. Like they have some involvement over there, right? And so I think they have probably some really confident and good leadership there. So we'll see where it goes. It's definitely something to pay attention to, because when they're associated with something, I always kind of perk up a little bit. My ears do, and say, okay, what Animoca? Okay, let me check that out a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a sense of, okay, this is the real deal. Animoca's playing, right? So, but definitely respect what they're building here and see if they'll move the NFT gaming stuff forward. So we'll see.
And Superfan says Animoca's Yatsui is one of the smartest guys in the game. Yeah, I'd like to meet him. Cool name too.
For sure. Yeah, Yatsui for sure. 100%. Ripple made the news this morning. So Ripple is doing Ripple goes institutional. Oh, let me actually grab my screen here for you guys. Ripple goes institutional, launches a digital asset spot prime brokerage for U.S. clients, supports OTC spot trading of XRP, RLUSD, BTC, and ETH, and more. Features cross-margining across spot, derivatives, FTX, and fixed income. Targets banks, hedge funds, fintech, entering digital assets. Built through Ripple Prime, integrating the Hidden Road platform. Ripple is officially stepping in the Wall Street lane. So Ripple now is becoming basically Coinbase Prime. Coinbase Prime is something that Coinbase created for large entities, and now Ripple is kind of getting into that game and saying, hey, come here for your XRP, come here for your RLUSD, come here for your Bitcoin and Ethereum. We can actually facilitate some of the stuff that maybe Coinbase doesn't want to get into yet with the Prime. So you might see some degen stuff going in here as well.
Yeah, I almost feel like they want to try to appeal to the TradFi market a bit more. So maybe they're shooting to be more of a Fidelity type, but with the crypto, background. And I know Coinbase Prime, you can be like, well, that's, what they're doing in a sense. But Coinbase is, known as, I feel like the retail, just crypto native. It's been around since I remember it earliest is 2013, but like Ripple right here, I think they're trying to find an identity that's pretty strong within like TradFi, because they already have the TradFi roots and all that stuff, right? So this could be something that they're trying to do, is like, hey, let's be the Fidelity of the digital asset space to TradFi groups. You know what I mean? So we'll see if they name it something different, or if they just keep it Ripple, Prime or something like that. We'll see.
Yeah, it seems like they're going with Ripple Prime, and it seems like they're going to be, Coinbase's they're trying to be Coinbase's number one competitor here in the U.S. Obviously, outside, you have Binance has their own version of Coinbase Prime as well. But Coinbase Prime is something that BlackRock uses, Fidelity uses, all these huge mega names used for custody. Do you think Ripple is going to be big in the eyes of custody, as well as potential maybe take some money away from Coinbase here and actually go with the institutionals using them instead?
Yeah, I think that they can if they do it right. There's enough space for it. We see it with the TradFi brokerages. There's tons, right? You have a top probably 10 list, and then you have smaller ones, medium and smaller ones. So I think if this industry is just getting started, then absolutely there's space for it. So in terms of taking away a lot of their larger clients, I don't know about that. But I think they could, start their, a team as well, or just be really tight in with some of these other fund managements that have sales teams that, kind of like the boiler room. Obviously that was but that is what they do. A lot of these traders or the brokerages, they have reps that buy stock for their customers. They have a book of business. They make a lot of money doing that, working on Wall Street. So this could be that approach as well.
Yeah, 100%. Really looking into seeing what this is. And I think you just said it a few minutes ago too. You said, let's kind of see what their new identity is, and if they are going to be who knows, maybe they can compete with Coinbase and actually go to the exchange route as well. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Trump was on 60 Minutes last night. I don't know if you've seen it, but I think it's really crucial to kind of show this, because it opened my eyes to a few things here. I'm gonna go and play it real quickly. Let me know if you can hear this.
I only care about one thing. Will we be number one in crypto? Crypto has turned out, and in that sense, I've been right. Crypto's turned out to be a massive industry, if you want to call it that. And I'm very proud to say that we are far and away ahead of China and everybody else. Now, China's getting into it very big right now. If you want to go after people, you're going to kill that industry, and it'll be very bad. Tremendous number of jobs. I campaigned positively on crypto, very openly. I campaigned. Biden campaigned against it. When Biden found out that I was getting 100% of the crypto vote, which was a lot, He switched totally, and he went in favor of crypto. They went totally in favor. They had many people under indictment. They let them all go. They let them all go. You know that. Many people were under indictment. Biden was a corrupt president. Biden went all in on crypto at the very end because he thought he could get some votes. It didn't work. They voted for me. I want to make crypto great for America. That's the only thing. I don't want to have somebody else have crypto and have China be #1 in the world in crypto. Because in crypto, it's a kind of an industry where basically you're going to have #1 and you're not going to have a #2. And right now we're #1 by a long shot. I want to keep it that way. The same way we're #1 with AI, we're #1 with crypto. And I want to keep it that way.
So Trump has been in China the last couple of days. Do you think something was said from China to kind of get him in this way? Or do you think it's something that he's been saying for a while? Obviously, disregarding all the Biden stuff, because the main part was that he was saying how like China is getting involved with crypto behind the scenes there, and that, you know, they want to make sure that they are #1 in crypto. And the fact that crypto came out of the president's mouth on 60 Minutes was just made me happy.
Yeah, well, I think he said a couple funny things there. He goes, I got majority of the vote from crypto, 100%, and that's a lot. I cracked up on that one. It's all of it. But you know, another thing too that I wish he didn't say that, but it's all good. I mean, like, he's trying to be confident about what he wants there. It's like there won't be a #2. Yes, there will be a #2. It's not the same as you know, the stock market. Like, you know, everybody, you know, eventually had to do their own kind of stock market or whatever. But with crypto, it's a global thing. And I think that #1, #2 is good, you know, to have those two multiple countries being at the top there. Did he hear anything in China? I don't think it was anything particular that he personally heard. I think maybe like this is from his advisory that's kind of letting him know, hey, look, it's us in China that are leading in this industry right now. And, you know, we just need to push the industry forward, or et cetera, et cetera. That's what I think it was.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious if like these other country people, you know, used any of their time, because you only get a few minutes with Trump. I think, you know, even the president of China only got an hour with him, right? So I can't imagine that they were talking about crypto with him. But it maybe. I mean, maybe. I'm not going to take it, you know, say it didn't happen. So I don't know. I like the fact that potentially world leaders are talking about crypto behind the scenes in a good way, in a good way for the first time. So. I got another video here from the great Tom Lee. Tom Lee says October was the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto. Lee still thinks Bitcoin get 150 to 200K by end of year. So he's still saying, hey, Q4 is it here. I'm actually going to play this video real quickly. It's only about 2 minutes, but it's from the great, amazing Tom Lee, somebody who we really appreciate on this show.
I mean, if I look at everything since October 10th, because that was the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto, like bigger than FTX.
Like a margin call almost.
Yeah, it was like almost a miniature rupture, like a tsunami. We're only a couple weeks from that, so I think the market is consolidating. But if I look at fundamentals, like Ethereum, stablecoin volumes have been exploding, application revenues at all-time highs. So right now, fundamentals are leading price in crypto. So I think eventually we consolidate and then we rally into year end.
Is there 150?
Yeah, I think we could still get to 150, 200 for Bitcoin, and then something like 7,000 for Ethereum.
I felt like they just dropped the mic there. Boom, 7,000 for Ethereum at the very end. So how do you feel about Tom Lee here? Really kind of basically saying, hey, nothing's changed. You know, we did have the biggest, and no one's talking about the biggest liquidation event in crypto history because the stock market didn't even notice, right? They just noticed Bitcoin down 4%, Ethereum down 8%. Why is this big wick here on a Friday night? I wasn't even paying attention. That's how TradFi sees it. But Tom Lee actually one of the first people to actually come out and tell these people, yo, like there was a liquidation event out there, and it really hurt, you know, a lot of people. And I don't know. I really respect Tom Lee. What did you think about his interview this morning?
Well, I mean, he's gonna be bullish on Ethereum and stuff, but he did talk about the stablecoin influx or like inflows just being just such a, you know, just you can tell it's a ton, right? And then I think he was pretty on the same page as what Jeff was talking about like 3 weeks ago, that, you know, the consolidations here. I think people that are here crypto native every day, Web3, whether you work in, and a lot of them are people that work in there, or they make their living through it, whether they're deploying coins on Pump-On or whatever, trading, the top traders. I think they're wanting to force like this like expedited recovery, right? And it's just not happening the way that they want it to. And I think that's a good explanation of, you know, why it's consolidation kind of happening right now. But you know, just for Tom Lee, we have 27 more days in this month, and then we have about 58 more days total until the end of the year. So it seems like what he's saying is between now and 58 days, and we're going to see some dramatic reversal at some point.
I mean, we're going to see ETH double, right? We're going to see Bitcoin go up 50%. I mean, that's yeah, 100%. That's dramatic. Because that's really that's enough to really shape things up going into next year. Do you think, you know, Bitcoin finishing the year at like 155, you know, Ethereum finishing the year at 7K could really push Q1 into that blow off top situation? Or do you think that we might have to grow a little bit further from there?
I think we got to have like the uncertainty go away, right? I think that
150 does that, right?
Well, not necessarily, because, you know, we had Bitcoin at 126, right, with uncertainty all year. So I do think the uncertainty needs to go away. I'm not saying we can't hit 150 with uncertainty, but I think for the setup that you're talking about, and I think it could be a strong possibility for 2026, I think the uncertainty needs to like be so minimal next year. It needs to be more about like, okay, there's a big issue and Trump can talk about, you know, how he's going to fix it. Other than that, like things are going as planned, you know, type of situation. You know, things are going like the warehouse is almost done in Arizona for the AI chips plant. Those kind of things, you know, the plants in Michigan are coming back, or they're almost done, or whatever. Those type of news events and that kind of like progress is happening. Fine, you know what I mean? It's being done. Get away from the tariff talk as much and more of, okay, like we're in the journey now we're, you know, on the next step, on the next phase. That kind of sentiment needs to happen, in my opinion, for us to really get to, you know, a place of consistent, you know, up type of environment.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really feel like there's that much uncertainty, though. It's the only part I would say I disagree. I feel like there's a few things. Obviously, one of them is the government shutdown. We got to get this figured out. And the other one is probably just, you know, I don't know. What would you say is other sense of uncertainty besides the government?
Well, the Fed up until May,
Well,
right? So we got to deal with them. You know, like they've talked about what they're gonna do a little bit here, and then also like you mentioned, what was it? You said the government shutdown. That's not going to be too long, you know. But the tariff stuff, you know, that just needs to stop being talked about as much, you know. And that's something he uses it in his back pocket, right? And in the summer, I feel like we were able to kind of withstand a lot of that, but it just seems like as of late, it has been really sensitive. The market's been sensitive to stuff like that. So
it's worked itself out, though, hasn't it? Like they got to deal with China, we got to deal with Malaysia, we got to deal with Indonesia, right? So we got deals with the countries with the biggest tariffs now. Well, so I feel like that's kind of behind us.
Let's hope they stay deals, right? Let's hope that they stay that way. Let's hope that there's no kind of retraction, you know, in the third week of January or some. And another thing that needs to be consistent is his inconsistency on how he, you know, handles like his communication on Twitter, right? It's been very inconsistent because, you know, it's either he's happy with this negotiation or he's not. You know, if he's not happy, then he pulls out his ace up his sleeve, which is tariff situation, you know, and so that kind of stuff. And you know, to the stock market's point, they've handled it. The top, you know, 10 stocks in the, you know, the what was it called, the
S&P
index funds. Yeah, the index funds have handled it fine for the most part, but we haven't. So let's see how I think we need to get to a point to where it's not so sensitive to us. We'll see if we get that next year, though.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's jump into will Flashnet relaunch this week? So this was a question I had before Flashnet came out and
That was
because
funny.
they're acting like nuts here. But so let's just kind of talk about what has happened so far. So they did launch last Tuesday. Last Tuesday they launched. Obviously it was huge, it was awesome, but it was an hour. It was an hour, and then it went away. And then you know, they came out 2 days later. I think it was Thursday night. They launched again, and the same thing happened. They were about an hour. So they went and they came out and they said, hey, listen, like, we have to upgrade faster than we thought. Our network, what we thought was going to be able to handle this, we weren't expecting it to get, you know, 1 million requests a minute. Especially with how fast they're trying to do. So they have to actually upgrade their server and try to you know, make sure they can handle the capacity of 1 million transactions a minute. Which was really, you know, the community still stayed behind them, you know, very, very strong. But the lack of them speaking over the weekend kind of hurt a little bit, especially from I'm seeing on the timeline, and I'm in a couple Discord groups that are actually kind of saying the same thing. Why ain't they communicating? Why this? They don't really have somebody out there who is communicating at all. They did, like I said, they posted that one tweet. And then, which is this one, they said, we will give notice before we go live, maximum power soon. And then a summer Asian boy came out. You know, he's been kind of like the voice, and he's a dev, right? So you're going to get dev speak from him a lot of the times. And you know, this isn't his communication. He was working with Magic Eden up until about 2 weeks ago, and then he joined the Flashnet team because they definitely needed the help. And he's somebody who was building the launchpad for Magic Eden. Once he left, the Magic Eden launchpad said, hey, we're not building this anymore. And now, you know, he's kind of the voice over here. So he said, hi all, now that the weekend is coming to a close, there's no commitment to any time frame relaunch except for at least 12-hour notice when we do. Previous comms only committed to no relaunch during the weekend, which has been true. And then recently they've came out, and I think it's right here. Is this it? No, where is it? They came out with a new tweet. Here, let me grab it from the actual Flashnet account. And they basically said, hey, it's going to be a few days. Now they're saying it's going to be midweekend.
Midweek.
Yeah, so here it is right here. Midweek. Yeah. So they said, still in the trenches with the Spark team. Partners are in here in person. Devs haven't slept. So partners in here in person is pretty big. And we did see this guy from SatsGo got on an airplane and he said, hey, I'm headed to the Spark office. So I don't know if that's what they mean there. But targeting go live midweek, full technical post-mortem coming after for those interested. I'm actually interested in that. I'm throw that in ChatGPT and answer some questions. But how do you feel about Flashnet right now? Saying, you know, it's going to be a couple more days. I don't think it's going to. I think it's actually going to be longer, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, they're saying midweek. I think for them to say midweek, I think that they are pretty confident that they can do it by midweek. I mean, they said that. The ones before, they were like, "Hey, we're not committing to anything. You know, it's not going to happen." So when they have committed to like kind of a time frame, they have come through with that. Whether it's like, you know, shuts down after an hour or whatever, they have come through with it. So I think the biggest thing that the reason why people want them to go live so much is because this is I don't want to say, you know, one of the first times, because like, you know, you had Merlin to where you can bridge assets over there. That was awesome at the time. I think it was too early. It was February of 2024. If that was now, it'd be a different story. I think it would have more prolonged sustainability. And you know, there's always options. And I think there's big things that are going to be building there. So that's something to keep put in the back of your mind. And then you had Odin, and Odin uses ICP, you know, tech stack to do what they could do. And so now you have Flashnet. The difference between this Flashnet situation, I think, is that you have like David Marcus, kind of the guy from Facebook's team and all that stuff behind it. And then so it's new with people who are kind of like, okay, like what's going to happen here? But I will say that they do need to get it going and allow it to continue for longer periods of time, because you don't want to lose that you know, spark, no pun intended, to you know, people just being frustrated, right? I think they're still in that window to where everybody still wants to kind of play over here. And so we'll see what happens. And then also you got NFT Supply, which is the head dev or whatever, the CTO for SatGo. And I think he really wants this to be a successful ecosystem, not just for him, but for the sustainability of the Bitcoin ecosystem in their current state right now, right? And so, SatGo offers a lot of different things, from runes to NFT or ordinals to all these things, even rare sats and all the stuff. And so they want to be a big infrastructure player here as well to allow this to be kind of like the moonshot, is what they said, of the Spark ecosystem. And so that's what I think he's going to try to do over there is fly in there and figure out what's happening. And, they all work together. But if this could be a thing where, a lot of Bitcoin devs work together to try to get this going, it could be a big kind of revolution in a sense to reignite kind of the Bitcoin ecosystem from layer one scalable and all these things together. I mean, getting together to root for something to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. And the biggest thing is, I think everyone realizes that there's going to be a $10 million token here. There's going to be a $50 million token here. I'm not going to say 100, but I truly believe in the next 3 to 6 months there's going to be multiple $1 million tokens sitting in the graduated section, right? Whether that's beta soon or something that's coming later. But I feel like people want that opportunity to be able to get those tokens at 200 market cap, 800K market cap. I mean, these are generational buys here, and everyone's just kind of like, I want in. And now we're kind of like, that window now has become so much bigger than it was before, to where the opportunity comes, and instead of there being 100 people, now there's 1,000 people. Does that worry you a little bit about finding the next generational coin here, and there might just be a tsunami of people entering at one time, and then causes more friction with them, and they have to go and maybe spend another month upgrading?
Well, I think that they know what the demand is now, right?
Okay.
At least like for what they've seen in a snippet. And so the reason why I think they're trying to take the time to do this is because they say, okay, well, let's do it to where it can be set up, and we can have continuous trading. And for that, they, like you said, are going to have to upgrade their servers, all these different things, and they see the demand for it. And so I think what they're doing is prepping to be able to support that demand in a way that hopefully it can continue, without stoppage for a period of time, to where people can be interested in. So unfortunately, I was traveling over the weekend, so I wasn't live trading for that. What was it? About an hour straight with no disruptions.
Thursday, yeah.
How long did it go?
Well, I wouldn't say no disruptions. There's a bunch in there cooked in.
Oh, okay. So there was, it would go off, Flashnet would go off and then come back on.
It was the same exact thing as what you experienced.
Okay. So it's basically the same thing. So yeah, maybe they want to fix it to where that's not the case, right? Because you can't have that consistently. You're giving people tastes of what it could be, but they want the real deal, like what it's going to be, right? So maybe they're trying to do something like that. I don't know, but it is kind of giving some people opportunity to be able to get in some of these early coins still. So, maybe that's why people are like, oh, I want to get over there. Some people may be frustrated and they want to take their Bitcoin off. Maybe some people want to go on, but it seems like from what I heard, the last experience that happened on Friday, maybe it was Friday, Thursday, was that there was a lot of people trying to get in. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was a huge sell down, honestly. Thursday was just people trying to sell out because they're worried about, because right now, like all the Bitcoin that I put in here is trapped. Like if I needed it for whatever reason, it's trapped in there. It's trapped in these tokens that I can't. There's no liquidity for it, right? So I can't. Well, there's no swap right now. It's not working. So I think people were just scared of it going down again, and that's why you saw a huge sell off, which opened up a lot of opportunity, especially in coins like Soon Coin, which I definitely want to dump in money at 800K and beta at 391K. Like the huge sell off, and then we saw some new ones enter like Pixel and a couple, and Bird with Hat and stuff like that you've seen just pop out of nowhere and then kind of melt down a little bit towards the end when people realize, okay, they're gonna shut this down again. Because what was happening was everyone was going in hard and then they'd pause it, and then after the pause you would see a sell down, and then you would see the numbers go up again and they would pause it. But they were saying that like the reason they were pausing it because they're waiting for trades to catch up. So basically, like if they kept it open all that time, more and more trades would have came in, and the indexer would have never been able to catch up, right? So that was the reason for the pause, is because they're just kind of waiting for the indexer to kind of catch up. So the trades kind of go through, it's empty again, they load it back up. So that's what was happening, and now the fix is actually to fix that problem of the load and trying to get all these transactions in at once.
Yeah. You know, the Flashnet programmability of being able to bolt it on to, this Spark network or whatever, that really works just as like a fast version of Bitcoin, is pretty amazing if they can get it consistent, because then you can typically, or theoretically, I should say, bolt it onto other environments as well. So it's interesting to have kind of like a separate programmability like environment that can just attach, right? That's very different. But yeah, WebJoe says, if ICP canister could be verifiable without trust, I'd be building there. Yeah, I think all these scaling solutions you're gonna have, it's just trust minimized. So you're gonna have, there's gonna be some point of trust. That's the whole point of the scaling solution, especially with Bitcoin, because you have to the trilemma, right? I mean, that goes with every blockchain, whether it's a minimal amount that you have to give up or a decent amount. With like Bitcoin, it's going to be a sizable amount, right? Decently sizable, I would say. But yeah, I mean, ICP, in my opinion, is one of the environments that is closest to be able to, to where they have their own Bitcoin node. They read the transactions on Bitcoin. They read Bitcoin's chain. What is that? It says, I mean, like how you can check the contract code. Yeah, I got to look into the canister codes and see how they're available, right? Because at the end of the day, I would think that they would be putting, the code on Bitcoin as well, maybe as just like a verifiable type of transaction. I don't know. I got to look into that. But the good thing is that, we know builders like Lewis Liu and with Omnity that specializes in that exactly. So we can ask those questions. So
yeah, that's actually what I was going to think about. Next time we talk to Lewis, we can actually ask him, how can we verify that, code on the canisters themselves, which are just subnets, right? Those the canisters they're just subnets. But all right, let's get into the trenches. So this weekend we had last Wednesday, I think it was, South Park actually put out a new episode, and the episode was all about crypto, and it was called South Park Sucks Now was the name of the episode. And they actually had they were talking about meme coin in there, and so this is kind of what it is. So then the crypto bros, so this was the actual meme coin on the show. So the crypto bros went and they created basically the same thing here. So we had a token that ran up to about 6 million, the first token in a while, and obviously came crashing down. But the whole episode was about how South Park sucks now, which was kind of like them, hitting themselves, saying, they made it too political, and over the last couple of seasons, and it wasn't fun anymore. And but crypto guys went and took their idea and created the coin. But how do you feel about, one, South Park making a full episode about crypto, and two, about the degens just taking a coin to $5 million and then dying, which normally this thing would run to 50.
That's how we're in this tough time, right? Is that like even South Park, which first, let me answer the first part. I think that this is becoming more mainstream, obviously, right? Like the spaces. So that's what that means in my opinion. Secondly, yeah, we're in a really tough place, because if this token can't go, to at least 20 million, you know what I mean? Like then that means this liquidity is really dry, and it's primarily these market makers that are kind of like the traders, is what I mean, like the top traders that are trying to pump some of these tokens, right? And then whenever there's no one jumping on board, they got to get out because they can't lose money. That's how they make their money, right? So the fact that it's 900, so this is not financial advice at all. This could be a buy if it continues this way, because this is something that could revive, right? Because it does have that South Park branding to it and all that stuff. So interesting play here. That is for sure. Oh, You're
So
muted there.
it definitely looks juicy. I'm not gonna lie. You know, potentially, you know, let's just say this was kind of like it does have like a head and shoulders here as well. So that's kind of what, you know, could be a reason why it did dip hard, but it did just break out of the trend. It's just sideways, but potentially we could see, you know, potentially coming back up here. 6 million. I would love to see this. I like even if I don't get in, which I probably won't. Even if it doesn't, like I would love to see this thing hit 10, 20 million. It would just show me that like the people are back, right? And you are seeing buys come in, whether these are just bots. Yeah, these are just like, oh, this one's a buyer. This is his first buy, or I guess he's been DCAing in. But yeah, I would love to see this thing rip up. I just think that South Park has so much, you know, so much with crypto, right? With the and like that's kind of the reason why the puppet sits so well. It has that like South Park feel, right? So it's kind of like South Park, and everyone, mainly everyone in crypto, they all watched, you know, it's their South Park kids. Most of the people here grew up on South Park like I did. I watched every episode up until probably like 17 or 18. But yeah, but definitely crazy. But there was some other stuff that happened in the trenches as well. You said something about the guy Finn or something you were telling me. So he put out this thing. Could you actually get into this?
Yeah, so Finn is the founder of the Bags Launchpad, right? So he's trying something else. Most of the other stuff that he's tried hasn't had success. In fact, a lot of those tokens just go straight down. So you got to be very, very careful. But if this is legitimate, you know, you got to give him credit for trying. It says to create a coin with dividends, you have to share fees with the dividends bot X account when creating a coin on Bags. The bot will distribute dividends to holders based on percent ownership. Dividends will be claimable after a fee threshold is met. Holders will be rewarded. This is VO version 0. More updates on the way. So you know, this is something that I think they should have did before the creator rewards, because in the creator rewards, you're incentivizing them to create tokens and then essentially as many tokens as they can, even if they have a successful one, because they make more money the more the fees go into each token, right? And you're not incentivizing the users at all in that situation. You're just incentivizing the creators, which I get if that, you know, they want more fees, like the pump funds and all these things, but it should have been the other way around. You should have started with this dividends approach instead of rewarding the creators, because, you know, the creators that didn't, you know, help the users at all. Now, will this work and make people want to hold? Maybe if there's like legitimate, you know, businesses or whatever that are being created or really strong community coins, then possibly. But let's see how it plays out. Right now, people have tried a lot of things with giving, you know, back either to creator rewards or like there's this thing that was on Trader Joe's that's on Solana as well. They were doing like King of the Mill to where they would inject like all the fees into the token. I think actually giving percentage directly into each holder is better now, because you can see that, okay, like I've earned this much. Even in Solana, that would be cool. You know, okay, I've earned this much in Solana. Why not hold that if it's viral token, right? Because then you'll be like, dude, I've earned this like crazy amount in Solana. Now, will it work? I don't know, because these market conditions are really tough for any type of meme environment. So it's something that's cool to try. Let's see how much success it can have.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually love the idea of derivatives on tokens, because if you kind of dig deep into what it actually is, you're staking without staking. You're basically staking in your wallet with a
staking.
liquid token. Yeah, I mean, it's soft staking 100%. So I think that is almost genius. The fact that I don't have to give up custody of my tokens, but I can technically get, you know, a staking yield, and that gets airdropped to me. Let's just say, I don't know, once a week, once a month, even once a year. That would be absolutely huge. I would love it to be daily, where I can just claim. How cool would that be? I love this idea.
I don't even want
And
to
I
claim.
think,
Just put it in. Just drop it as Solana in my
well,
wallet.
would it come in as Solana, or would it come in as the token
I
itself?
would want it to be
Because it would be a mixture, right? Because it would be yield from the DEX.
No, but it is the fees that you're getting. So the platform is getting Solana. So I would imagine that like they would redistribute it into Solana, because that's what they do for the creator rewards. So that, you know, in a sense,
Gotcha.
I would, yeah. So you know, you get what I'm saying. So that's what I would think. And in fact, like you should just do that 100%. Get rid of the creator rewards, because the creator should be holding the token if he believes in it anyways.
Exactly.
So then, you know, he can earn the most creator rewards by holding the largest percentage if he wants, whatever he wants to do, you know? So
yeah, well, yeah, and then you earn Solana. Let's just say, you know, he earns like 30. Let's just say he gets 20% of supply. now he gets 20% of the creator awards. So it's 100. It's still the same thing. It's just if he wants more, he has to purchase more of the token, which means number go up. So I love this sense. I think Finn is on to something here. It sometimes it takes 4 or 5 ideas before we find the right one, and I think he's finally come up with something. I kind of want to see how it works, and then how many people actually adopt this as well.
Yeah, same here. If it does pick up, then you'll see a lot more on like GMGN and other platforms that are research platforms for Solana, meme coin launch pads. You'll see more of the bags get graduated and stuff like that, which I'm not seeing that
100%.
yet.
Yep. Well, that's our show for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed all 2 hours. It was an amazing show. We had Jeff in there. It was phenomenal as well. Go check that out if you haven't checked it out. We're actually going to put that out as its own video tonight as well. So definitely check it out if you did miss that. But thank you. We had 240 people in here, guys. We know times are hard, but we have 240 people just on YouTube and X. It means so much. Not to mention everyone on Twitch, Kick, Rumble, Abstract. We can't see how many people are watching, and we're on Abstract as well. So definitely check out those other channels as well, and really appreciate you guys spending your time with us.
Absolutely, guys. Without you guys, we couldn't do this, and we're very appreciative of that. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. We got Emblem Vault, which is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or Bitcoin NFTs like Repepes over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. They're the only solution, in my opinion. They have the experience going way, way back. You can actually take a loan out against your Taproot Wizard right now on the Gandhi application, which is the largest borrowing and lending application in Ethereum right now. And then they're going to open this up to other EVM layers as well, and SVM as well, like Solana, right? That is on the roadmap. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with agenthustle.ai. If you go to agenthustle.ai, you can actually use this under the free subscription level, and you only get not too many of the free prompts, but that's what the free one offers. And you can kind of get a test drive there. You can ask Hustle to find you a couple plays in the Solana ecosystem. He'll bring back a couple options and why he thinks these are solid options. But then if you want more tool sets and more prompts, you got to level up the subscription. And that does come at a little bit of a cost there. You can use the Hustle token. You get a discount. And the Hustle token is the single token that powers the entire Emblem ecosystem. So definitely check it out. Agent Hustle has a conditional engine built inside him as well. And they also offer support on Hedera as well. Now that is live, Hedera and EVM. So that is awesome. I mean, this is going to be, in my opinion, like a one-stop shop. Like you don't have to get multiple wallets. You can actually just come to Hustle and find what is popping. And they're going to be adding more environments as well. I think this is going to be a very useful tool to trench more specifically in the future, because you're going to have multiple environments in one place to do it, so it's going to be really, really useful in my opinion. There's also another product in their ecosystem called migrate.fun, and migrate.fun set the migration meta for this cycle. They actually created it for their pain point, but now everybody needs it because some people that launched on pump.fun or they launched on bonk.fun, they want to migrate to the opposing launchpad for whatever reason that is, right? Migrate.fun can help you do that. They help you get that liquidity out. And, obviously your community has to be on board with that. But they had an amazing first cohort with 14 teams. Everything went smooth. And now the second cohort is coming up. So, you can check that out and watch it on the sidelines. But if you have that token and you want to migrate, because you can also migrate to your own liquidity pools and earn as much as you can doing that, managing your own LPs there. But check out their second cohort. And if you want to be involved, reach out to them at migrate.fun or emblem.vision to see if you can get on the next available spot. Emblem.vision is going to have all the information about the products I just broke down for you guys. Visit there to learn more. And then MerlinChain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their own AI tool called the Wizard version 2.0 that can guide you through the entire cryptoverse, right? They're starting off with chains like Solana and BSC, but you can, as long as you have Merlin Bitcoin in your wallet, you can swap for tokens outside the ecosystem as well. It can guide you through MerlinChain's ecosystem, do DeFi functionalities for you on your behalf, like DeFi swaps or staking. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model. So you can participate in 3 ways. The first one is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. They finished their first staking vault September 30th, which was a huge success. They got on average 17% APR for all of their Bitcoin stakers. Their second staking vault is open right now. It does close January 8th. So you're going to get, close to about 3 months, but, it's going to be a little bit less right now, but the longer you wait, you'll get less rewards in there. But they're shooting for that same average of around 17%. It's a guaranteed between 8 and 21% is what they are shooting for there. Like I said, it does close the 1st of January or when the Bitcoin amount maxes out. And I think it's 150 maybe. Maybe they raised that ceiling a little bit, but that's the max from last time. So check that out. There's also 2 other ways to be involved with the proof of stake. And the first one is the flexible. You use the MerlinChain token to stake that. You earn 15% on a day-to-day. You can claim your rewards every day, roll those up into a compound interest strategy if you like. If you do want to withdraw from the flexible, it takes 7 days for a cooldown period. So just know that in advance. And then there is the bonded, which is a 6-month lockup period. You earn 45% APR, but the rewards you can actually claim every single day and roll those up if you'd like as well. Check it out at MerlinChain.io and check out their entire ecosystem. This team, in my opinion, has big plans for the future. So check it out there. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, if you guys have a few more minutes, wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. Some of the best articles dropping every week. So definitely want to check this out, guys. They've got this one from last week is X402. If you haven't read this yet, you need to read it. The 3 to 4 minute reads. They will actually get you caught up on exactly what is happening in the space. And we have an article every single week. Just come here. You guys can check out each and every one, so you guys can get caught up on what is going on. And if you guys need a VPN, highly recommend Nord. I use it every single day. Right now, you can get it for $2.99 a month. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it, forget it. You get an extra 3 months on top of that. You can 27 months for about $3 a month. Well, actually less than that. It's probably like $2 a month because you get the extra 3. But definitely, if you get this, you can use products like MEXC, which I highly recommend. It's my on and off ramp. I know there were some issues with MEXC over the weekend, but I used it this morning and it was perfectly fine. And then, on top of that, you can use something like Hyperliquid. I highly recommend Hyperliquid if you're going to do perps. I think there's no reason to KYC yourself on other exchanges. Why not just use a decentralized one on like Hyperliquid? You deposit your funds in there and you can use that and then withdraw them when you're ready to get out of that. So definitely recommend that. But in order to use those 2 things, you need a VPN. So get yourself Nord today and don't waste another day. On top of that, you don't want these companies knowing where you live at. I think it's stupid, especially because it leaves your IP address, leaves your home address. You don't want that. I don't want that. Don't do it. And then on top of that, you get we get some of the best merch in all of crypto: hats, shirts, jacket, and so much more. You guys can check everything out here at OnChainRevolution.io. And remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.